Hopefully, your favorite real estate broker. That's right, my friends. Right now, we are getting ready to do what you've been waiting for, my friends. We are going to go over the December numbers. I know you've been dying for this because a lot of you have been asking me, hey, Rob, what's going on with the market? What do I need to do? How do I need to do it to be able to move forward, to be able to understand what I should do? Whether you're looking to buy or to sell, of course, you always want to understand what's going on with the numbers, right? You want to understand, hey, is this the right time for me to buy? Is this the right time for me to sell? What should I do, Rob? Well, I'm here to tell you, my friends, that you are all set because I am here to go over the numbers with you. Hope that you can understand them and that you will know what kind of moves you need to make or that you want to make. All right. And so, as you have comments, as you have questions, all you need to do is reach out to me, Rob Rosa, 860-558-2122. Yes, I put it out there. And some people go nuts when I do this. They're like, what is he doing? Is he leaking his phone number? Yes, I am available to talk with you. So here we go. Let's get things started. Let's talk about what's going on here in Connecticut in the multiple listing service. Like, this is real data. This is not baloney. This is not me giving you my opinion, even though, hey, I think my opinion is pretty good. I don't know about you guys, right? Everybody has their own opinion, and you know what they say about opinions. So, with that in mind, let's go over these numbers. Now is the time. All right. So, a lot of you are saying, oh my gosh, Rob, the market's going down. Well, put it this way, it kind of goes down almost every single December. So, if you look at this chart here, right, between December 2024 to January, yes, it went down a little bit. But you see, right now, this number is the average sales price. So in December 2024, the average sales price for all price ranges, all property types, single family, condos, manufactured homes, mobile homes, townhouses, all bedrooms, all bathrooms, all square footage, right? And all seller types, including traditional and short sales. Okay. In December, homes were selling on average $557,641 in Connecticut. All right. Pretty interesting, at least on my part. I think it is. Well, what has happened? What happened in this past December, 3 days ago? Right. Well, we went up from 557 to 580. That's a 4.1% increase in the average sales price. So you tell me, have home prices gone up or down, my friends? They're up in Connecticut, 4.1%. Don't let people tell you differently. Now, if you need me to check on a specific town, even on a specific street, I can do that. Maybe a neighborhood, depending on neighborhood, but definitely town, city, street, sometimes neighborhood, depending if it's set up in the system. All right. But as you can see in Connecticut, home prices are up 4.1%. Now let's talk about new listings. This is a number that, yes, my friends, this drives me crazy. All right. Because you see, I kind of long for the days when we had more listings. It made life a little bit easier for buyers. Well, right now, okay, for the month of December, we had 1,606 listings. That's right. You heard it. For the month of December, in the entire multiple listing service, 1,606 listings. Well, Rob, how many did we have in December 24? 1,671. So that is a less number, that we went down. We went down 3.9%. We're lower on listings. We still have a shortage of listings. I've had friends and family over the weekend, over the holidays, tell me, hey, Rob, you know what? There's more houses on the market now. I can definitely tell. And I say, well, where do you see that? What town? What neighborhood? Because I'm able to run these numbers for you. And what I see is what the data tells me. You see, I'm not using my perception as if I see more signs, or if I don't, or what the news is telling me. I'm giving you the real numbers, my friends. That's what Rob Rosa does. Gives you the real numbers. And what are the real numbers saying? Is that the number of listings is down 3.9% compared to last year when we talk about the month of December. What does that mean for you? Well, as a seller, it means now is the time to put your home on the market because you can see there are less homes on the market more than ever. In fact, if you look December 2024, there were more homes. If you look December 2023, there were more homes. If you look December 2022, there were more homes. If you look in December 2021, there were more homes. So now there's a shortage. That means less competition for you. That means now's the time. Don't wait. Do you see what happens every spring? You know, so many of these sellers, they say, I'm going to wait till the springtime to sell my home because it's much better. No, it's actually worse for you. It is worse for you as a seller to wait for the spring if you solely want more money and an easier closing because there's less homes on the market. Now let's flip the script. Oh man, Rob, you talk out of both sides. Well, you know what? 1 minute I am talking about how I can help out buyers, and of course the next minute I'm talking about how I can help out sellers, right? So right now let's talk about buyers. Hey, it's a tough time for buyers. So you need an agent who is going to negotiate for you, who's going to work for you and give you the truth. The truth is that in Connecticut, and we're talking, when I say Connecticut, let's just make pretend Hartford and 40 miles out, right? Fairfield County is a little bit different. Maybe New London, Mystic, Shoreline is a little bit different. Litchfield, a little bit different. But the majority of Connecticut, the sellers have the leverage. The sellers have the power. So if you really want a home, now that interest rates are low, you need to make an offer that is attractive. You need to be like a peacock, right? And be showing all your feathers and show how beautiful you are, that you want to attract the seller if you're the buyer, right? Because that buyer, they pretty much right now still have their choice of buyers. That seller still has their choice of buyers. So that's what's going on for new listings. All right, let's talk about homes for sale. Well, it's almost about the same, right? If we were to look in December 2024, there were 4,967 homes for sale. Okay, and here in Connecticut. And this past month, there were 4,887. So that's a negative of 1.6%. Once again, less homes on the market, less availability. And if you're a seller, you want to move quick. If you're a buyer, maybe you hold off a little bit. If you have questions, all you do is give me a call and you say, hey, Rob Rosa, I just called you. I just texted you at 860-558-2122. And I need to know, is now a good time to buy? Is now a good time to sell? What do I need to prepare? What's the timeline look like? Let's talk about your questions. Let's talk about your options. Let's talk about the strategy for you. So homes for sale, there's still less homes on the market for sale. Pending sales, there's more pending sales. It does feel like it's taken a little bit longer, right? In December of 2024, there were 2,337 homes on the market. And in 2025, 2,465. So there's 5.5% more pending sales. And when we talk about pending sales, what we're talking about is homes that are under contract, under deposit. Maybe they're still being continued to be shown, but there's um, items to be taken care of. Maybe they're still waiting for an appraisal. Maybe they're still waiting for an inspection, right? Maybe they are still waiting for the buyer to get all their documents into the lender's office, right? So there's things going on. There's a few more pending sales than there were last year. I don't know if it's making a big enough difference, but I can tell you that it does seem like it's taking a little bit longer, probably because there's less cash buyers, I think, right now than there have been in the past. So less cash buyers, meaning that you have a few more pending sales, and that's where we're at. Closed sales. Oh man. All right. So let's see here. In December, right, of 2024, we had 3,005 closed sales. And in December of 2025, we had 2,933 closed sales. So it's a negative of 2.4%. Is that a huge difference? Probably not, but it's something to be on the lookout for. Why would there be less closed sales? Like I said, could be is what's going on with lending. It could be that there's just less homes on the market, which make it that much harder. But the truth of the matter, less closed sales on the market. Okay. Now, days on the market going up. Yes, sir. And this kind of keeps going with what we've been saying. In December 2024, the average of all the sales in the state of Connecticut for the Smart MLS, 13 days on the market, my friends. That's right, 13 days. And in this December, 14 days. Oh my gosh, Rob, it's an extra day. What are we going to do? Well, come on. I'm being a little sarcastic. I'm having a little bit of fun with you, but it's just basically one more day in comparison. That's the median. And then the average is basically exactly the same. So the average is 30 days that it was in December 2024, and then 30 days in 2025. All right. Here we go. Let's talk about one of the indices, one of the indicators that we like to look at to determine who's got the power. All right. Who likes the power? Woo! I like a little bit of power every now and then. All right. So here we go. For the month of December, 1.7 months of supply for homes on the market. Now I'm going to look and I'm going to change this and look at that. Okay. This is 10 years. So again, December 2025, 1.7 months supply of homes for sale. So what does that mean? I always like to think about it like, let's just say you went into the grocery store, right? And they said, okay, we're not going to replenish this shelf. We're just going to keep all these bottles of soda right here. And we're going to let people buy them at the same rate that they've been buying them. Well, in 1.7 months, there will be no more soda. So in 1.7 months, there will be no more houses. That's it. If we had no more houses put on the market and the same rate of buying. Okay. And what that tells us is that, again, the sellers have leverage. The sellers still have the power here in Connecticut, right? One of the things, and I've done some reading and done some research, let me take a little sip here, is that we're in the top 5, meaning the state of Connecticut, in the country for average age of housing. You remember in the 1950s and 60s, I mean, I don't remember, but some of you might remember or heard, there was tons of housing being built because of Pratt & Whitney and all the industrial companies and the building and all this good stuff. And then I remember even in the 1980s and 90s and early 2000s, right? We always had these big subdivisions. Well, for us, it was big. If we see like 25, 35 houses being built, we think that's a big deal. I mean, drive around Connecticut. Show me how many, can you really put it on two hands? How many subdivisions of 40 new single family houses you see? I mean, you can definitely come up with a lot of luxury apartment buildings, right? You could definitely come up with those. But go to South Carolina like I did, go to Florida. And then, of course, I read about other areas. They're building, and they have been building these subdivisions of 50, 75, 100, 200 homes, right? And that's why they have a different situation than we do in the state of Connecticut, because we were focused in this administration, as far as this what's going on in the state, right? They're focused on luxury apartments. They're focused on giving developers these tax abatements. Well, what about for us? What about for the middle class? What about for us hardworking people that we want to sell and buy a home, and we want the American dream? Right? What is in place for us? Oh, well, they keep having these buyer programs, right? Which do sound great on the surface. God bless the people that I help with these buyer programs. But there's nothing in place for a seller. There's nothing in place for a home buyer that wants to sell their home and upgrade. They want to sell their home and downsize. They want to move into a different location. There's nothing in place that I know of. Now, if there is something, teach me, let me know. I would definitely love to know about it. But anyways, here we are, December 2025. There's less than 2 months supply of homes on the market. So that's telling us that it's very, very, very leveraged towards the seller. And then back in December, let's just say December of 2015, there was about seven, right? 7.2 months of supply, when that was more power, more leverage, more balance for the buyers. And, probably when you're around the 7, 8 months supply of homes, that's when it's considered to be a balanced market. So hear me out, you state of Connecticut legislators. Hear me out, Connecticut Housing Finance Authority. Hear me out, people. We need programs to help the middle class average citizen who owns a home and wants to get to the next step, wants to get to the next level. Because right now, all these buyer programs sound beautiful on the surface. But what it's doing is creating even more shortage. You see what's happened since 2021. It's just shortage, and it's been going down since then. Okay, because they're building is those apartments and giving these huge developers tax abatements. What about for us? What about making life easier for us, right? The average man. So that's what I got for you when it comes to month supply. All right, percentage of list price. Hey, Rob, I'm not paying list price. In fact, I want to pay less. So do you know, and maybe he'll see this, but I highly doubt it, Sirhan, right? I watched a video of him where he had this condo for sale for, let's say, 1.95 million. And he had this buyer that it was perfect for them. Now, I might not tell the story 100%, right? But it's pretty close. But the buyer says, well, I'm not going to pay list price. That's it. I don't care. I'm not paying list price. So you know what he did? He called up the seller and said, Mr. Seller, we need to raise the price of the home to 2.5, because guess what? He had a buyer that wouldn't pay list price and wouldn't pay more than 1.95 million. So they increased the asking price to 2.5 million. And then he called up his buyer and said, hey, I got this condo for you, and you can get a discount of $550,000. Do you want to buy it? Because it's listed. Let me show you the listing. It's listed for 2.5 million. And that buyer says, definitely, I'm ready to buy it, because I told you I didn't want to pay list price. I wanted to get a good discount. and I didn't want to pay one more than 1.95 million. So boom, he made the sale go through. Now, I thought that was an interesting story because I still have buyers myself that they say, "Hey, I'm not paying more than list price." Right? Okay. Well, the truth of the matter is, look at the whole year of 2020 25. If you said that you're not going to pay more than list price, you would not have bought a home for the whole year because it started off in January at 100%, basically on average. Oh, that's median. Let's do average. Here's an average. Okay. So it started off in January 100.6%, and it went to a peak in June of 104%. So for those of you that say, well, I'm going to wait till the summer or the spring to buy a house, you're paying more. Look at the way the chart goes. It happens every single spring or summer because there's more buyers out there. All right. And the whole point is if you're that buyer that you're not going to pay for list price, well, on average, you didn't buy a house, or you won't buy a house, or you didn't buy a house in 2025. You didn't buy a house in 2024. You didn't buy a house in 2023. You didn't buy a house in 2022. In fact, the last time you could have or would have bought a house, if you're that person, was in February of 2021. So be careful about these weird kind of things that you say, because on average it's going to hurt you most likely in the long run. Now, there were times, I mean, look back in the olden days, right? In February of 2015, man, 11 years ago. I've been doing real estate for 25 years. I think it's amazing when I look at some of these numbers. I kind of, in a weird way, get excited about it. Yes, I know I'm weird, right? Um, but the truth of the matter is you look at these numbers and you're like, wow, man. So you're telling me, Rob, that in March of 2015, I could have bought a house 95.7% of asking price of the last list price on average. Yep. That was your chance. If you're that person, hey, man, 11 years ago, you could have done it. You could have, would have, should have. And 11 years later, some of you, and I'm smiling because I'm a happy person, but I'm sad for some of you because you're still in the same place the last 10 years. You wanted to move, you wanted to make some changes, you wanted to stop renting, you wanted to upgrade, you wanted to downsize, you wanted to go somewhere else, and here you are in the same place because of fear, right? And so I would tell you it's January 2nd, it's 2026. Make that move. Call someone like me and make that move. Go live your life, no fear, and try to make it happen. Yes, you don't want to get totally crazy. Believe me, I'm not that person that's going to get totally crazy. But I mean, me personally, I'm happy where I'm at. And if you're happy where you're at, if you are still dreaming, you have that dream home in mind that you still wish you could have, then go and do it. Now's that chance for you. And as a reminder, my phone number is 860-558-2122. All right. So let's go to price per square foot, my friends. I'm kind of having fun with this. I think it's absolutely amazing. Look at this chart. Look at it. What are prices doing? Going up, 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 up. All right. Price per square foot. Let me see here. I just got to try to all right, very good, very good. Oh, I just want to change this. Good. Sometimes it gets a little tough when you're trying to look at these numbers. All right. So, price per square foot. Now, here's the interesting thing. Take a look at your floor, especially if you have tile, right? Let's just make pretend that tile is a square foot. It's probably not exactly, but it's kind of close enough, right? It's a square foot. Well, in the state of Connecticut, in the month of December, you paid $282 on average for that 1 square foot. Oh, my on. $282. And that's not including your taxes, right? And that's not including insurance to make sure that 1 square foot didn't get messed up, and that you can get reimbursed in case, or you can get some money compensated in case something happens to that 1 square foot. Right? So it's up 4.1% in comparison of December 2024, right? December 2024, $271 per square foot. So it's up 4.1%. And you might be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I would never do it. I'm not going to do it. Well, guess what, my friends? 2015 called and said, listen, you're not going to be able to get houses for under $150 a square foot anymore. They said it's not happening. I mean, of course, there are points, and you can see throughout the year, they go up and down and up and down and up and down. And could we have a little bit of a downturn? Maybe, but it's hard to have a downturn here in Connecticut when we only have 1.8 months of inventory, which we looked at, when we have less houses on the market, my friends, when we have all these buyer programs that are being funded by the taxpayers in order to get more home ownership. All right. So the whole point is, I don't know how much I would wait. You got to be careful, right? You got to make sure that you understand how this is helping you, what you're going to do, what's going to be the point for you to get to that next step. All right. So if there's any comments or questions, definitely put them out there. Feel free. I hope that you really found this information helpful. Again, my phone number, 860-558-2122. I hope that you're having an awesome, amazing start to the new year. God bless you. And this is Rob Rosa. Hopefully, your favorite real estate broker. Signing out, my friends, and we'll talk to you soon.